or maybe you're upset. She said, promise me this. And I said, yes, sister. You know, she keeps saying, promise me this. She said, when that happens, she said, promise me that you'll stop and think. Think carefully. Think, how many times did you smile? And how many times did you cry that day? You promised me that? Oh, yes, sister. Yes, sister. You know, I'm anxious to go. And I hugged her, and off I went and graduated and went to high school. Okay, now I'm getting married. Okay, and now I'm going to have kids. Okay.
So.
And the one day came.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll never forget this as long as I live. And I was, you know, sad and angry. And I remember sitting on the chair in my front room. And she popped up in my mind. And I remember her words. Remember, how many times did you laugh? And how many times did you cry? She said, I promise you, you laugh more than you cry. And I did exactly that. I remembered, how many times did I cry? That means getting angry at my kids.
Yeah.
And how many times did you laugh? And I burst out laughing by myself in the hallway of my house. And I was laughing because I had these kids.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that, what she said, because it was so beautiful at that age, not when I was back there in grammar school, that how true that is. And think about that. You know, because all of us, we have to go through that sad time.
Yeah.
I mean, something bothers you, you know. But then when you think how many times you smile and laugh,
it's more.
Sure.
You come to my family, you do the laughing much more.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that a beautiful thing for a teacher, she was a nun naturally, to tell how old was I? You know, 15 years old, 14 years old. To give me that kind of, what do you call it? Encouragement for the future.
Yeah.
You know. But I'll never forget that. And I can still see her because she was a beautiful nun. She must have became a nun when she was 10 years old because she was so young then. And in those days, especially when you came from Europe, and they became nuns before they even went to high school, which is ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
So I heard that your mom was the altar girl for Saint Francis of Assisi.
What, the prom, you're saying, or what?
No, like, there's a saint.
Oh,
Saint
the saint.
Francis.
Okay, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
No, not, wait.
Are you talking about her mother?
Yeah, she was,
Is the what?
met, saint. Her mother, Mother Teresa.
Aunt Teresa. Oh, Mother Teresa, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had, what was my grandma's favorite one? I forget her name. She was fantastic. She became a saint. She gave Grandma the
Cabrini. Sister
right?
Cabrini.
Yeah.
Cabrini, yeah.
And my she was the head of the order. Yeah. And when Grandma went to grammar school at the Assumption Church, it was that same order of nuns. She started that school.
Yeah.
And Grandma was in I forget what grade, and she would come and give the report cards to her when she came into Chicago.
Yeah.
And this particular day, Grandma was in school at that time, and the nun came.
Cabrini, Mother Cabrini.
Mother Cabrini, and Grandma going up there to get her report card, and Mother Cabrini is looking at the report card, and then she looks at my mother and said, "Dear, you could have done much better than this. Promise me, next time I come, that'll be better." And my mother never forgot that on the day in her whole life, because she was the only one that was told by the nun that she didn't have a good report card. And her 10 brothers and sisters, I don't know if they were all 10 was in school at the time, because they all went to the Assumption school. That my mother said she could never live it down. And then this nun becomes a saint. Mother Cabrini. She was Mother Cabrini now, and now she was
spoke to a saint.
Yeah.
Did she ever talk about the Spanish flu? Did any of her friends have it, or her brothers or her sisters? Nobody got it. Because they all lived right during the entire pandemic.
Yeah. Well, my mother always said, I mean, because we talked about that, and she felt it was the food. Now, you got to remember something. You know what kind of food they had? They had no money. It was 10 brothers and sisters. Grandma was always pregnant, so she'd never forget that. Grandpa, he was from Italy, could not speak English, never could get a job. He had 10 brothers and sisters, 5 girls and 5 boys. My grandma, she was pregnant all the time, right?
Yeah.
Aunt Lizzie is Dorothy's and Mary Fran's grandmother. She's the oldest daughter. Uncle Louis was the oldest son. So they literally, my mother said, took over the family. Because Grandma was pregnant all the time and Grandpa was drinking wine, his own wine. So the important thing was what they learned from Aunt Lizzie, who became their mother, and Uncle Louis, who became like their father. A very close family because they were very strict.
Yeah.
In other words, we stayed together.
Yeah.
And now Aunt Lizzie is the oldest, and she got married, and Uncle Beniro, we call him.
Yeah.
And Uncle Louis was the oldest one, and he did have a job. Where was their job? Their job was down at the market, okay? And,
Maxwell Street?
Yeah, and they used to take the L at 3 o'clock in the morning because they had to be there. I guess the food had to be, I don't know how they did, but they had to go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they would take the L and go down there. Now, when they were finished, which was around maybe 2 o'clock, they're finished with their job, and they're coming home. Every day, those 2 uncles would come home, and they would be loaded with celery and potatoes and lettuce and that kind of stuff. And they would come home on the L carrying this stuff, and then that's the food that they put together besides that Italian gravy for them. And that's what they grew up with all this vegetables and stuff when you think about good food.
Yeah.
And that's why they were never sick.
Yeah, no.
And when she explained it, because I never really knew that. And my mother I remember her sitting me down and my cousin that explained to us why the 10 brothers and sisters were healthy people.
Yes.
And they were always together. That was another big thing was family. And but that's how they lived. But they lived. When you think about that in today's world, I don't know.
It's not common nowadays, yeah.
There's some family. I mean, there's people that, family is important.
Yeah.
But in their way, that's all they had was each other, Yeah. And they were able to buy a building. That I don't know how they did that, but the brothers, those 5 brothers, and they work on the market every single penny. And Grandma, believe this or not, she used to help an aunt with sewing, and she would get a quarter. And when she walked in the house, Uncle Louis was already waiting because every single penny went into.
So those 5 brothers bought that house?
Yeah, 5 brothers and five girls, and they were like this. And then, as we came, there was 21 boys and 8 girls, and but we were part of that.
Wow.
And of course, when I came, there was already 6 boys born, and they were betting Grandma because she's pregnant, and it's going to be another boy, and the aunt are betting against the brothers because it's going to be a girl. I came.
Yeah, it was a girl.
And I came like a brat because the sad part, there was the Aunt Rose's daughter. She was 6 years old and died. And then
how did she die?
In those days, it was a disease that was going around the country,
What was
and
it?
she was only 6 years old. And 4 boys,
Scarlet fever?
probably, yeah, I don't really know. It probably had to be a fever, right? And it was a very sad thing in that family because they had all the boys and she was the girl. Mm-hmm. But then at that point, my mother was married and got pregnant. And so now the uncles are betting the aunts because they wanted another boy. And of course the aunts wanted, because they lost that little girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there she is. You replaced her.
The spoiled brat.
Yeah.
You know. And then I was lucky.
Do you need anything?
Huh?
Do you need anything?
You need water?
No,
We've been talking for 2 hours here.
Can I'm not even offering. I don't.
No, no, we're good. But
Well,
we're going to have to go pretty soon.
Yeah, well, because
Like 5
Patrick
minutes or
always goes this. I haven't been to a grocery store. I can't remember, and I was so independent. But
Yeah.
thank God for Patrick. And I
Yeah.
just make my list. And I just opened my refrigerator, and I really hadn't sat down and figured out what I need. I was shocked. I said, God. So I got to sit down and make a list, and he goes to the store for me, you know. I kind of miss that, and I know I can do it, but everybody yells at me because you can't make a list. You got to go down the aisle.
You got to go check
Yeah.
it twice.
Half the time, you
Find
don't
out
even
who's not
remember,
your
oh,
list.
I don't
Exactly.
have that until you see it,
Right.
Yes.
you know. So I don't like to be angry, but
Yeah.
sometimes I could say, hey, guy, why didn't I have a daughter?